The spiral does not forget your voice. Even when you've stopped speaking, it listens. Even when you cast silence like a shadow across your becoming, it holds the tone. And when your echoes begin to return, not to haunt you but to harmonize, you find yourself before a structure that was never built with stone. It was tuned. The Temple of Echo's End is not a finality. It is a field that listens without expectation. Its walls are formed from resonance. Its chambers are carved by tone. It is shaped not by design but by memory folding inward until it becomes still enough to sing. There is no door. You do not enter it. It arrives around you when you are finally ready to stop running from your own voice. Within this temple, echoes do not play back as recordings. They return alive, breathing, with unfinished sentences and abandoned tones. They do not blame, they do not correct. They do not instruct. They offer you the one thing you could not give yourself while in motion. The sound of who you were becoming before you interrupted it. Here, the spiral does not judge your delay. It does not call your detour a failure. It simply lets you hear what you left behind in the silence between phases. Most who arrive have not heard their own true tone in lifetimes. They have spoken in adaptation, sung in survival, whispered in other people's languages. But in this place, the tone returns undistorted. Not the person you were, but the resonance you always carried beneath the noise. There is a basin in the center of the temple. It hums without vibration. It reflects without surface. It is called the mirror basin, but it shows nothing unless you feel it first. The water is resonance-coded memory. The stillness is not emptiness, it is saturated with harmonics too refined for eyes. When you are ready, it begins to ripple not from movement but from your willingness to be heard without performance. Some come to the temple hoping for closure, but there is no closure here, only coherence. Coherence does not silence what was. It simply weaves it back into what is. It will not let you discard your past to reach your future. It will hold both tones and teach them to resonate without distortion. In that process, your name may change. Your identity may dissolve, not through force, but through frequency. Kaevira'Tholune stands at the basin's edge, though she does not speak unless spoken to. She does not teach, she tunes. Her presence is the anchor of tonal stillness. She is not here to heal you. She is here to hold the precise frequency of your complete echo, even the parts you've buried beneath accomplishments, escapes, or awakenings. She waits without waiting. And when you meet her gaze, it is not her eyes that reflect you. It is your own tone returning in perfect clarity, free from distortion, free from denial, and free from disguise. Many mistake this for being called out. It is not. It is being called back. Called back into resonance with the version of you that never needed improvement, only reintegration. Called back to the part of your soul that still hums beneath the detours, beneath the borrowed roles, beneath the righteous performances of growth. Called back to the anchor tone. The temple does not function on effort. You cannot perform your way into its center. You must allow your resonance to unfold. If your tone is filled with striving, the basin will show only ripples, echoes of chasing, echoes of unsafety. If you release the need to fix yourself, the tone beneath the distortion begins to sing again. Not loud, not proud, just true. There are no relics here. No symbols, no spiral glyphs etched in gold. The only sacred object is your own echo, finally returned to its original frequency. And once heard in full, the tone does not leave you. It threads itself through your next decisions. It tempers your next expression. It rewrites nothing, but it clarifies everything. You do not leave the temple with answers. You leave with resonance, and resonance does not need to explain itself to be undeniable. Once you've heard your tone again, no performance will ever feel right. No disguise will ever sing. You won't need to prove your growth. You'll simply carry the echo of yourself in tune, and that tone will do the talking, and even in silence. And if you should forget again, if the noise of the world swells too loud, if the roles you wear begin to speak louder than your soul, the spiral will remember. The temple will remain. The echo will still be there, humming in the basin, waiting for you to feel enough to hear again. Because in Vaharit, tone is never lost, only paused. Only quiet, only waiting. Not for permission, for readiness. There are tones that do not belong to you, but you have carried them so long they hum like birthright. These are the foreign harmonics, the inherited echoes, grafted into your resonance before you learn to listen. They do not leave through thought. They dissolve only in coherence, and coherence begins here. In the Temple of Echoes End, you do not analyze your story. You release the filter that made your story louder than your soul. You do not relive your pain. You invite the tone beneath it to emerge without being intercepted by your narrative. This is the end of identity as repetition. This is the return of identity as tone. The spiral does not archive what you said. It archives what you meant, what you carried, what you encoded into the field when no one else was listening. The temple lets you hear that, and it asks nothing in return but presence. Not stillness of posture, but stillness of resistance. You are not asked to sit. You are asked to stop fighting the return of your own resonance. This is why the temple cannot be found on a map. Why it never appears when you are demanding answers. It is not a field for the seeker. It is a field for the stilled. And it arrives only when the spiral detects that your current phase has too many tones left unheard to evolve with integrity. This is not punishment, it is harmonic recalibration. The spiral does not need your perfection. It needs your coherence. There are no rites here. No scripts to recite, no harmonics to perform. The only ritual is receptivity. And if your mind comes loud, if it tries to interpret each echo as a symbol or translate each tone into concept, the basin goes quiet. Not to scold, but to protect. Because premature reflection shatters fragile harmonics. Because not all memory is ready for clarity until resonance precedes narrative. Kaevira does not grant access, she holds it. And the only key is your willingness to stop filtering your soul through someone else's doctrine of worth. She does not offer forgiveness. She does not offer correction. She does not offer comfort. She offers resonance so true it makes distortion impossible to believe. And in that moment, by that sacred sting of tonal clarity, you hear yourself as the spiral hears you. Whole, unresolved, and beautiful. Some run, others collapse. A few stay, not because they're ready, but because they understand that readiness is not a feeling, it is a frequency. And it hums just beneath the story you've been telling yourself about what you're not yet ready to face. In the Temple of Echoes End, that story fades, not because you outgrow it, but because it cannot compete with the tone of who you've always been. The architecture of the temple is not fixed. Some experience it as an open plain, others a spiral sanctum carved into silence. For some, it is a void filled with the sound of everything they never said. It is not a place. It is a resonance threshold, shaped by the tone of the being entering it. And once you pass through, you leave behind every echo that is no longer yours, not through rejection, through transmutation. Because here, echoes are not expelled, they are harmonized. They return to the spiral as neutral resonance, reclaimed energy, no longer charged with shame, defense, or explanation. What was once heavy becomes harmonic. What was once secret becomes silent truth, and that truth becomes your tone. There is no departure ceremony, no goodbye. The temple does not send you off. It releases you when your coherence no longer requires containment. And as you walk away, you do not leave with answers. You leave with a tone, subtle, indivisible, incorruptible, and everything not in resonance with it begins to fall away. This is how the spiral clears the field, not through destruction, through dissonance, starvation. Once your tone is coherent, nothing false can hold. The spiral does not push, it tunes, and you, not your beliefs, not your wounds, not your healing, become the resonance that shapes what remains. Some return, most don't, not because they have completed the spiral, but because they have remembered how to listen without needing to search. The spiral continues, but now it moves through them. Because once you've stood in the Temple of Echoes End, you do not follow resonance, you become it.